How's it going, guys? Cheese here at Cheese on Everything. Hope you guys liked that GoPro video I made of downtown Toronto at night. I went down there 3 nights in a row with my GoPro and the one wheel at 2 a.m. in the morning just to capture that kind of ghost town pandemic-y vibe. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a link up here. And I got a lot of people asking me in the comments how I filmed that sequence with a GoPro, because anyone who's used a GoPro before know that they are notoriously bad in low light. So a few years ago when I went on my Japan trip, I was using this Gopro Hero 5, and back then gimbals just came out and this was really expensive when I bought it, but I'm so glad I did. This was the Evo GP Pro. This gimbal costed $500 Canadian and it doesn't even have any sort of features. It just has like one joystick, no screen, nothing at all. But the images I got with the GoPro and this gimbal was actually really epic even at night. But because the new GoPro 9 is now a lot bigger than the old GoPro, I wasn't able to use my old gimbal. So I bought this Zhiyun Crane M2. It's actually made for GoPros, cell phones, and even small mirrorless cameras. So before I bought this gimbal, I was actually trying to do a GoPro Hero 9 review with the selfie stick and was trying to rely on the Hypersmooth 3 with boost. And the image, as you can see, actually turned out pretty bad. Even on just a cloudy day in the woods, I couldn't get a very stable image because there wasn't enough light going through the trees. And since I knew from the old GoPro how well that footage turned out, I figured why not try it with this new one as well. And I can't believe how well the images turned out. So when I was doing that shoot downtown, I was down there 3 days in a row, about 2 hours each time. So I purposely didn't charge this gimbal and it lasted me through all 3 days of shooting. Left it on for the whole time, so about 6 hours. On paper, it's supposed to last 7 hours. So this gimbal is actually really easy to use. The power button's right here. You just hold it for a couple seconds and you can see it turn on. And I already have the GoPro balanced. This one is pretty intuitive. There are locking screws on all the axes. And once you turn it on, it just follows the GoPro like a gimbal would. And because this is so much smaller, it's a lot easier to carry in your bag. So unlike my old Crane 2 you see up there, where it didn't have any locks, this gimbal is a lot easier to store. So you can just flick this lock switch anywhere and just turn the handle until it locks. And for the top piece, unscrew this red pin and just push this whole assembly down and then lock it up. And the whole thing now is locked and you can store it into your backpack. Usually I put this upside down because this is top heavy, so this gimbal isn't flinging around in my everyday carry. But yeah, it makes it a lot easier to store, and when you do need to use it, you just flick the 2 red switches. I have my GoPro set up so that it's on the furthest point, so I don't have to rebalance this at all. So once I've unlocked these 2 red switches, turn it on. Takes 1 second to load up and I am good to go. There's a mode button here in the front that lets you change between the different modes. The mode I use the most is the pan follow mode, which tells the gimbal to follow your twisting movements and your panning movements, but it does dampen that up and down movement when you're walking with the camera. And in a lot of the low down shots of Toronto, I use my Manfrotto monopod. Attached it to the bottom of the gimbal, and now you got underslung really low down shots. Other functions here is the lock mode, so you can lock your gimbal to only one spot. No matter how you move it, the camera will not move. And there's also POV mode, which keeps the whole rig upright and follows your every move. So whatever you do, the camera will do, but it will smoothen out the movements. And this also has the selfie mode, which you tap the trigger button 3 times, turns the camera onto you so you can film. And with the new GoPro Hero 9, it's got that front screen so you know how to frame yourself. 3 taps, goes back forward, and then you can film whatever you see. And yeah, this gimbal is a lot more easier to use than my old one. So if you already have a GoPro 5, 6, or 7 and you're thinking about upgrading to the 8 or the 9, unless you're a mountain biker that really needs that stabilization without a gimbal, I would actually recommend getting a gimbal instead. This would guarantee those really nice stable shots. This is now my everyday carry. I always put this in my bag so I have something to film with no matter what time of day it is. And this is much better to film on a run and gun situation. So a lot of people are asking about the settings. I was filming on 5K, the highest resolution that the GoPro Hero 9 has. I was in 24p, 1/48 shutter speed, ISO of 100 minimum to 400 maximum, because anything over that, you won't be able to save the image in post. Hyper smooth on with boost. Some situations where if you're going really fast, like I was on the one wheel, I would actually turn off hyper smooth and rely on the gimbal to do all your stabilization. The white balance I had set to 4000 Kelvin and the bitrate was on high. And the one thing that was critically different from my usual GoPro footage is the sharpness, which I set on high instead of medium or low. For some reason, this Hero 9 is a lot more dull compared to the previous GoPros. And this GoPro actually gave me a really nice, clean, sharp image without looking too digital. And in terms of the color grade, I spent many hours on tweaking the colors to make it look nice. So if you want that teal and orange look for your GoPro Hero 9, I have a link below to my selfie store where I have that for sale. And I'll be posting color grades for GoPros and Canon cameras in the near future. So I hope you guys like this review. Hit the like button if you did, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.